Over at the Times, Josh, it's only a matter of time before Steve Coogan is invited to another casting session at the Beeb.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, Russell Brand, BBC investigates 5 complaints. So this was in the good old days before Hamas went and murdered 1,200 Israelis in despicable ways. Remember Russell Brand, the whole thing?
Yeah.
So
it was a big story.
It was a big story back in those halcyon days. 2 complaints have been made more since. So obviously it was a huge deal. Every front page, week or so.
Yep.
We were sort of convinced that there was going to be this sort of avalanche of complaints coming
pulled
through.
away the struts that were holding it up.
Yeah, absolutely. All these people come forward, and actually at the BBC anyway, it turns out 2 complaints have come forward. They've got 5 complaints total they're investigating. 2 of them historical. 1 was about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And now 2 new ones have come in. They're not sexually related in any way. They're just about his behaviour.
Wow.
So I'm just saying you might have expected more if... I'm not saying
it's not like a Savile-esque avalanche.
Yeah.
No, or even the second order after Savile against all the other DJs and sports presenters.
Yeah. Now that's not to say that his behaviour. I agree with his behaviour, and these other things that have come forward before have been dealt with in a court of law or anything like that.
No.
But I'm just saying that it seemed like there was going to be this big hoo-ha, and it has not materialised.
Yeah, and some of the complaints, like somebody complained that he asked her for sex and she felt uncomfortable, and, you know, that's terrible, but that's how we get sex. You've got to be proactive about it. You've got to get out there and start asking some of those tough questions.
Well, it certainly was his style, wasn't it? I think anyone who came within 100 yards of him must have been aware that that was kind of how he operated, you know, which is, again, obviously not to excuse any behaviour that went on that did transgress legally, but as you say, as a kind of a brash peacock of a kind of individual, you know...
That was his shtick. I mean, I'm not... but then this is his... one of the people here, they're saying he made his explicit and misogynistic shows, how were they allowed to be broadcast? That's what they're looking into, and you're going, that's ridiculous. This is 2008 or whatever. It was a different time. It's like saying, how did Benny Hill... How would they have done Benny Hill?
It wasn't the 70s, so it's 2008.
No, I know, but it was
not that long ago.
It was lad culture. It was...
I remember listening to Russell Brand on, I think it was Radio 2, he used to have his show on, quite often driving to a gig on a Saturday night. It was funny enough, and then occasionally you kind of go, well, that's a bit strong for Radio 2. I do remember thinking, not like this is a fair, you know, I shall write in. I remember him having David Icke on a couple of times and thinking that was a bit odd for Radio 2, but I think he regarded him as more like a Uri Geller character rather than
he was also looking for his future career.
But... Tim Davey, I think, is named in this story, who is now the Director General. He seems to have heard Russell Brand for the first time. He's saying, I listened back and was like, oh, I was bored. Okay.